You know the story of Van Morrison's first band, Them? They had the hit song Gloria. They went into the studio, the record company took them into the studio, and slowly, every single member of the band was eliminated as being incompetent. The final recording of Gloria features one member of Them, Van Morrison, the singer. It was the one person they didn't replace. If you do a pre-production demo, you will discover what you can't do. And you'll be able to correct it before you're paying $500 a day for the engineer to go, you know, your drummer can't play. Because you really don't want to find that out then. Because you're going to lose your drummer, you're going to lose a friend, and you're going to lose thousands of dollars that you just spent in that studio. A pre-production demo, which is what I make a significant amount of my income doing, can cost you $200, $300, $400, maybe $500 if your budget's $5,000. 10%, 5%. But it saves you thousands. The other thing you can do with a pre-production demo is you then have what amounts to the bed tracks of your record. And then you can send your singer away with that and say, okay, you sing this every single day. 5 days of every 7 for the next 7 weeks before we go into studio. It's called rehearsal, folks. People think that with Pro Tools and with a modern recording studio that you don't have to do it. They're lying. You have to rehearse your ass off if you want to go in there and do a good record. You need to know who can't play and who can. You need to know each individual part and how it fits together. Believe me, the studios will be happy to charge you for the money, but they're not happy to watch you in agony in the studio trying to work out these things which you should have worked out ahead of time. All right, that's point number 3. Point number 4. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, there's a couple other things you can do in a pre-production demo, depending whether you're interested in it. Is that if you hire somebody like myself to do it, then we can do things like adjusting your songwriting, adjusting your arrangements, your tempos, your song lengths, the part writing for your individual band. We can make suggestions like, hey, have you thought about some backup singers? Because if we put some right here and right here, this song will be twice as commercial. We can help you pick a studio. I can't count the number of friends of mine who've gone into inappropriate studios and spent a ton of money. If you're making a punk rock record, then you should go into a studio where they know how to make punk rock records. Right? Pretty simple. There are lots of people who know more than you do. There's lots of people who know more than I do. But there's lots of people who know more than you do about what studio to pick. All you have to do is ask them. You need to ask the right people, though. And you need to ask people who have ethics and who won't just steer you to the person who will make the most money off you. Because, let's be honest, there's lots of people in the music business who will take your money and look you in the face and say, oh, you're really good. There's not a lot of people who look you in the eye and go, yeah, you're not ready. And unfortunately, a lot of artists, when confronted with an ethical person who looks you in the eye and says you're not ready, turn around and go and find somebody who won't tell them that. These are the things that you need to know if you're going to work effectively in the music business and not get ripped off right to left. Okay, I think I can move on to point number 4. When you're looking for a recording studio, especially if you don't get help from somebody like myself doing pre-production, then you need to be very clear with the studio that you hire. You need to understand what they can do for you. You need to get references from them. Satisfied previous customers who sound like your band. It's pretty easy to do, but a lot of people get suckered in. You know, they go into this impressive facility, they talk to this very charming person who seems to know everything about the music business, and somehow they don't get the credentials checked like they should have. Folks, the pros in the music industry will respect you if you test them. There's nothing that tells me more that you are an amateur if you are just impressed with my credentials and you don't question them. You need to question me. You need to question anyone that you hire in the music industry. Because there's lots of people who will just take your money. And some of them are very competent, very ethical, wonderful people who will advance your career. And some of them are scum of the earth. And sooner or later, if you're not careful, then somebody in the music industry is going to rip you from one end to the other. So, that's point number 4. Point number 5, the final one, is what a producer does for you in studio. And this is, I guess, my final point, that a lot of people these days don't understand what a producer does. And a lot of people these days want to jettison the producer's role and budget requirement to the studio. Now, there are some studios who have wonderful producers in-house, and that's great. But I want to make sure that you understand what a producer can do for you in a studio, independent of what a studio can do for you. And that is, if you go into the gas station on the Toronto Islands and record with Dale Morningstar, then you may be thinking in that studio, wow, Dale Morningstar, he produced a Godspeed You Black Emperor record and a couple of Gord Downie solo records. And wow, this is really cool. He's got all his hockey gear on the wall and there's a clavinet over there and it's wicked and it's amazing. And sooner or later, Dale, who's a wonderful guy and a wonderful professional, may be doing something that you don't like. And instead of stopping him and saying, Dale, I don't really like what you're doing, you may go, I don't think I can really tell him to that. You know, I mean, he's not, well, it's okay, it'll work out. It'll work out at the end. What a producer can do for you, if it's independent of the studio that you have hired, is that producer should be a pit bull for you and your money. The producer is in there to say, you know what, this is an awfully fun story that we're telling, but we're paying $500 a day for this studio, so let's get back to work. The producer will look at the engineer or the studio owner or the people who are in there or the musicians that you've hired for a lot of money to play for you and say, quit fucking around and do the damn part. That is important. That is worth your money in the studio, to have an independent person who is there to protect you. As long as you have the right producer, then they will open up things for you. And if your drummer needs to be told that he sucks, that his meter is bad, then you don't have to do it. If you're in studio, you don't need to be fighting with your dear friends that you're in this great band with. You need somebody like me, who's a hairy old ass, who'll walk up to your drummer and go, come over here, and blah, 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 blah. And I can tell the guy in a way that won't cause him to forever cease to be your friend, that he's, you know, you gotta do this thing, you gotta do this thing, we gotta do the other thing with the other thing. I can do that to a 25-year pro bass player who's got chops up the wazoo, you know, who can outplay you and you and you and your entire family and me. I don't care. I'm a pro. I go to him, I go, yeah, that part doesn't work. He goes, oh, yeah, that part doesn't work. We're hiring you, so you'll do the part that works. You, as the artist, may not be able to do that, or you may not want to do that in a studio. And that's what a producer does for you. They can negotiate the deal with the studio. They can negotiate the deal with the musicians. They can deal with all of those elements. So I guess that's really my whole point. You know, everything that I've told you is important, but the other real secret of the music industry is understanding who to hire. Because you have to spend money to make money and achieve things in this industry. You won't do yourself any favors if you cheap out on everything. There's lots of things you can cheap out on. If you want to make a record for $500, I can show you how. But you do have to know when to spend it. And you have to pick the right people to spend it on. That's it. Thank you. There's 5 points on how to make a record, how to pick a producer, and how to do pre-production. Now,